everyone, and welcome to Bounty Hunt, a Utini Network podcast where we hunt down all the extra content in the Star Wars galaxy. I'm one of your hosts, Eric Eilerson, and joining me today to talk all about the latest episode of Andor, just so good, is a brand new crew for the most part, except we have the constant, the man behind the keys, the axe that does not or does forget. It's Wes Jenkins. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Andor Day. Yesterday should have been Andor Day, but it was my fault that we're going live on a Sunday. I was out in the woods, marshing up or putting camouflage on duck blinds for this hunting season. Yay, it's me. Yay! Okay, sorry.
You did it. You've accepted your blame.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you, man. I hope that those ducks fall prey to your devious wits.
We just hope they fly. They fly in the southern region of Texas this year.
Well, while all y'all are putting out your good vibes for the flying ducks of Texas, also put your good vibes out to the welcoming of the magnificent Timothy Guthrie. What's up, sir?
I just found $10 in my pocket. What a fantastic day. Oh my God. This is so great. I was like,
Oh my
weird.
God.
Wonderful.
That's the vibe.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here. It's been a minute. I'm glad to see you all. And very pumped to talk about this show, man.
I'm so glad to see you. It has been far, far too long, but we're so glad to have you here. It has not, however, been too long since we've seen our last host today, because she was most recently on The Living Forest. It's Emma Park. Welcome.
Hey, everybody. Really excited to be here. I think this might be my first bounty hunt. I'm not sure.
I think so.
It definitely is. It definitely is.
It is. All right, good. Yeah, yeah. So I'm really excited to be here. The Patriots are playing, but we're making some sacrifices, and the universe didn't want me to be here today either. Like I literally got here like 5 minutes ago, because craziness, but nothing was going to stop me from talking about Andor with you guys today.
Yes, that's right. Oh, we're so glad everyone is here. And if you are here, hello. Hello to everyone in the chat. Hello to everyone watching and listening later on. We hope you are loving Andor just as much as we are. If this is your first bounty hunt, what we're going to do, I'm going to do a brief recap, spoiler-filled, of the episode, and then we're all going to kind of just have a nice conversation about what we loved about it. Everyone's got a couple points that they're going to lead. We're just going to have a nice, fun conversation talking about one of our favorite shows. So, without any further ado, Andor, Season 1, Episode 5, The Axe Forgets. We open on Cyril having cereal at his mom's apartment on Coruscant.
Yes!
We did it! His mom's going to talk to his uncle about finding him a job, but she is extremely disappointed in all of his choices. Not relatable at all. Back in Aldani, Cassian chats with Skeen about his Imperial prison tats, the backgrounds of everyone else in the group, and we get confirmation that Vel and Cinta are officially sharing a blanket. Lesbians in space! Representation for the win.
Woo!
Back at Mon Mothma's House of Horrors, we meet her daughter, Leda, who is rude to her mom, and witness a brutally awkward breakfast where we see Mon just being attacked by father and daughter simultaneously. Weekly reminder that Perrin really sucks. Back in Aldani, Nemik gives Cassian some breakfast while explaining to him an extremely complex idea of how the Empire is coming to power. Basically, his whole manifesto. Karl Marx would be very proud. The rest of the crew go over the infiltration plan over and over again for the following day. They're double-checking the escape route. They're practicing marching. And Lieutenant Gorn, our man on the inside, ensures that the right people will be looking the other way at the base. Once they finally make it to their final camp, Skeen finds Cassian's kyber crystal and calls him out for lying to everyone. Cassian then admits that he's being paid, but he won't be anyone's excuse for pulling out of this mission. Tempers settle down, Vel and Cinta break off from the pack, and Skeen tells Cassian about how the Empire drove his brother to suicide. After all, everyone has their reason for fighting. Back on Coruscant, Perrin confronts Mothma about a new charity she's started. Luthen waits anxiously for news about the mission, and Cyril gazes into Cassian's hologram. All right. So, everybody, before we get into some talking points, quite a bit to talk about with this episode, I'll just go around the horn very basically. How did we like this episode? Emma, I want to start with you.
Yeah. I feel like I really enjoyed the episode, right? Like we're starting to really ramp up here. I think I might have like the unpopular opinion of feeling like it's a little slow, right? Like we didn't have. I don't think we had any action in this
We did
episode.
not. Many conversations.
Yeah, definitely. Which isn't like a horrible thing, right? But it felt like the tone went, it's kind of, all over the place. I wish we kind of were on like a more linear path, but hey, that's okay because it definitely feels like we're going somewhere. I also am glad to learn more about the Rebel Cell. I think that's going to help us sort of like connect to them more when they go on their mission. I also was a little disappointed we didn't see the, dinner party or whatever that was hinted at. Like, I really wanted to see that like, desperately. But Mon Mothma, all of her scenes continue to be like some of the standout scenes for me. Just learning more about how she kind of operates and how she kind of goes undercover trying to build the rebellion is like some of the most fascinating stuff in the show for me. So I'm glad we got more of that.
Absolutely. All right, Timothy, how about you, man?
I am still absolutely all in on this show. It is everything that I've ever wanted it to be, and this episode is no stranger to that, I guess. The practicing, the fact that they were practicing how to march, like those little details, I love that to pieces. Very blown away by the acting still. This is weird, right, for Star Wars, for it to be kind of like a kids thing and supposed to be relatable for everyone, but to have this kind of quality, like top to bottom, set design, acting, just the whole 9 yards. I love it, and there's a reason if it's on screen. There's a reason that it's on screen. I appreciate that.
Yeah, the practicing marching is great. You're left-handed, you should be on the outside, like the little minutia that we don't really see. Yeah, it's totally unlike anything we've seen before. Love that. Wes,
so
how about you, man?
This week, I thought we were going to get into like some action sequences. So it took me for a spin. I did think, but like you were saying, Emma, it was a little slow. So I'm kind of, if we're doing like a rating thing, I say last episode's about the same as this episode, but it was a good experience. I wasn't mad about it. Yeah. I mean, they put in so much extra effort, like especially like you were saying, Tim, with the TIE fighters that flew in. That was from a movie. That was super good. They did a really good job with that CGI. And then what's the Nemec? Nemec. His whole like monologue about his reason for being there, and then that like it looked like a Polaroid camera, but it wasn't. It was it was like it plotted the star chart or something, right? And then he had his manifesto in the other hand. Like that whole scene was great. I loved it because it gave us more to think about than just we're gonna put a group together and we're gonna steal a lot of money. That's it. So there's like some meaning behind it. So
they give this to us too because he's about to get got, right?
Right. So much. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way.
You're just gonna like someone's gonna take his manifesto and he's like, I'll continue what you were writing.
I'll put this on the internet for you.
Yeah. Like I gotta say, I think I tweeted it out after the episode, just a picture of Nemec, and then Cassian has that quote like, "We don't all have the luxury of deciding when to believe in something," and I'm like, cool, this is your moment when you figure that out, isn't it? But it actually leads right into my first point I wanted to talk about, because that monologue, Wes, was my favorite part of the episode. When I wrote down one of our quotes here. He says, "The pace of repression outstrips our ability to understand it, and that is the real trick of the Imperial thought machine. It's easier to hide behind 40 atrocities than a single incident." And, I mean, first of all, just the scripting of this scene. One, the actor playing Nemec just, like, rattled it off. This is British stage actor going, like, bam, 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 bam. He just flew through it in a great way. The writing was incredibly complex, and I thought it was interesting because it really allowed Cassian and us as audience to delve into how fascism rises. Like, Nemec literally just said, hey, audience, here's how this happened. Everyone gets lazy. We become reliant on increased Imperial technology. So many bad things happen that we become numb to it. And I'm like, bro, you need to stop coming for us in 2022, because this is exactly what's happening. Like, this was the most affecting moment for me, because it all made sense in the Empire, but also it was, I mean, look around, this was the most relatable thing where I'm like, yep, I'm very reliant on my technology. That's very true. Oh yeah, you're right. There are so many things that happen in the news that sometimes I just got to tune it out and then I just let it happen. Like, what'd you guys think about the specifics of this speech? Because I think this was kind of the most direct we've ever seen it in Star Wars, honestly.
Yeah, it hurts my soul to hear like they're like directly talking to us like right now. And it just like it just feels so like it's sad, you know, that we have to be told these messages today because, you know, things are happening and it's you know, could get pretty bad soon. And it's just so sad. But at the same time, it also makes me glad that we have Star Wars because there's so much stuff that people can relate to. Not only with like not only can people relate to the characters, right, but they can relate to the ideas of like rebellion and of doing good by your neighbors and sort of helping, you know, fight back against oppression and so many overarching themes that I think we need today even, which again is horrible that we need them today, but I'm glad that we can all relate to something like that through Star Wars.
Yeah.
I love the way that, you know, for us, it's so exhausting trying to keep up with so many of those little atrocities, right? And the breaking news ticker is on every news station we see, right? And it's always on. It never goes away. And it's so exhausting. And so that's the way the Empire's gotten so good and has been able to be in such power, is because it's just one thing after another. And it is massively all at once too, which doesn't help anything. But you know, when every 5 seconds presents another new disaster, I mean, you just eventually have to completely turn that off. And it's so cool that we get to see that and have this particular aspect of it from this humble little rebellion cell,
the Vel cell, as we called it last week.
Yes, the Vel cell. And they're so adamantly going, no, there is one particular issue that is actually the problem here, and it is the Empire writ large. It is not all of these little things. There is someone pulling those strings, and for this little Vel cell to be able to so intentionally kind of poke at this problem is so encouraging to those of us who fight our own little battles every day. And I'm really glad that we're getting to see that here. And we've gotten to see it in things like Rebels and stuff before too, and the mixing of the cells, but never this intently, I think. And it's really inspiring.
Yeah. Just what you had said, Tim, it's very relatable from today's age and watching on TV. Hopefully, a lot of the viewers picked up on that. They picked up on the characters going through these problems and seeing these multiple atrocities, these like battles, these people that are getting like misplaced and they're getting taken away from their homes and their families and stuff, and they're seeing that and they're relating that to actual real world events. Like, oh, this is really happening in my backyard. Was there something maybe I could do? Maybe I could help with this charity that Mon Mothma's putting together. That maybe I could help that in my own community. So that
I didn't think you'd care about it. It's charitable. I'm like, girl.
And he was like,
oh,
like, oh, you're such a dick.
Yeah, it was just amazing. And then I mean, gosh, they all go through really what this Empire has done to them. And Nemec, I think, puts it out so perfectly. But then at the end, you know, you got Skeens talking about his brother being like, I hated the Empire, and now I don't have a word for it. And I think that's where people get to. Like, oh, I'm already a 10 out of 10 angry. Now it's just like, I'm out of descriptors for how rageful I am, so I have to be then spurred into action. Yeah. And I think that is the core, I think, of the early rebellion versus the glory of Luke in a X-Wing and the Jedi conquering evil. There's like something heroic about this. This isn't heroic right now. This is just like, we have to do something. I think Nemec, who again, I think we're all in agreement. Oh, it'll be a miracle if he makes it through episode 6. Like, I love him. I don't think it's gonna go well.
Oh, poor guy.
I think a lot of people in the cell are in danger, not just I mean, obviously we know Cassian makes it, but you know,
sort of.
That's all we got right now.
Sort of.
But no, but like I say, I'm looking at our outline here, and I want to jump. Tim, I see you had another Nemec quote here while we're on our boy.
Yeah. I mean, just again, because he's not going to make it very long, so let's remember him fondly now.
He's going to look to his like 80 or something. We're going to be like, oh, got it wrong.
Yeah. No, so I mentioned the like doubling down on like the poking and the prodding in this one particular issue, and that the Empire is writ large the bad ones here, right? Empire bad. He has this quote. He says, "They'll soon see. Surprise from above is never as shocking as one from below." And that's right after the TIE fighter comes in and does the whole Thane Kyrell moment, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Lost Stars.
Yes. Lost Stars.
And I love it because this is such a perfect example of like the details matter when you're the underdog. And like the Empire is so haughty and so, maybe looking down their nose, but mostly worried about how can I achieve a higher level? How can I, make my spears look good so that I don't die, kind of thing.
Yep.
And I love that it's going to catch everybody off guard. And from a similar perspective, and I keep forgetting her name, the ISB officer.
Dedra.
She has a similar kind of quote. So where Nemik's is more like this quiet confidence, defiance. Hers is, she has this quote where she goes, if I was them, this is how I'd do it. I'd spread it out, never climb the same fence twice. And it has this almost like reverent respect, fear. Like she's trying to look up, but she's almost holding these rebels at like in a loftier form of, I might advance because I'm going to take out this underdog that is not really that much of an underdog, kind of thing. But it's so cool for me too, because when we think outside of the show itself, just the fact the show exists, it's the fact that they're having to practice the step by step, that you call out some of these things, that we flash for a minute to, the location that we saw in like the original planet that
Ferrix.
Cassian, Ferrix, that we flash back to Ferrix for just a minute. With these types of shows in premiere settings, whether they're on like FX or HBO or what have you, there's a reason that it's on the screen, and the details matter for this as well. And so to see that this show being so counter Star Wars, I think, in a lot of ways to what we typically expect from Star Wars television, these massive characters, Obi-Wan's going to be the title thing, Boba Fett's going to be the title, we're going to have Luke show up, we're all looking up, we're all expecting that something would happen, so we're not super surprised by that, but we are so surprised that this show about a virtually nobody character and a bunch of other no one characters is doing so well, because they're hitting those details time and time again, and I love it so much.
Man, I love how you set those three up too as you were talking there. Like, we go from Nemik saying like, I need to do this because it's right, and we're trying to crawl from under. We go to Dedra, who's like, I respect my foe, and like you say, if I get promoted, great, but I'm doing this because I need to like crush them. This is for the good of the Empire. And then finally those guys on Ferrix, like you're saying, is like, cool, can I have a title? I know it doesn't have our pay. Like, it's like they're all they're all in the same conflict, and they could not be more different on why they are doing this thing. That like the guy just wants his freaking CV to look a little better, so his mom that makes him cereal isn't disappointed in him. And then like Nemik is like, I might die, and Dedra's like, no, I'm a soldier, babe. I'm like, I'm gonna take him down, and it's all in one show. It's all in one episode. Like, this is not viewpoints we've ever gotten before.
Right.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Getting that Empire is ruling the galaxy from a live action standpoint we've never seen. So we've seen, we had that whole, from the time of before episode 4 and then I guess Rebels, Star Wars Rebels. But if you want to put it in movie context, you got Anakin Skywalker as a human and not a half droid. And then Anakin Skywalker as Darth Vader. Like, what happened in between all that? And we're getting that, and we're getting in exquisite detail, movie quality. Thank God. But yeah, it is a humbling experience, especially considering what they were looking at 20 years ago and putting out made-for-TV movies such as We Will Not Say.
Sorry, Trev. Sorry, I know they're your favorites.
We Will Not Say.
Yeah. No, I know we keep going around this moment to bring a little bit of levity to it. Emma, I want to hit your first point here.
Yeah.
Cereal.
It's a marketing. There's a marketing point right there. You can do something with that. You can sell it.
Yeah.
He
already had
wrong
Star
line of
Wars.
work. He has to privatize.
I want those. I want that on Batu immediately.
We've already had Star Wars cereal, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi Frosted Flakes. Let's make Andor,
my God.
cereal.
Why not? Why not?
I'd buy a
Wake
box.
up, everyone.
I'd buy one box. They got
I would too. Just to put it next to my, Tony the Tiger wearing Jedi robes. Like,
Yes.
But like this moment, I know like it's joked about like a lot. We've been joking about it a lot. But to be real though, like this was an extremely relatable moment. But I think a lot of the show is really relatable, but this is kind of one of the more like personal, kind of relatable ones. Everything else that's been relatable is like fascism in the world, and this one is like your mom is disappointed in you.
Yeah.
But,
Right.
and the other thing I liked about this too is that we don't get to see a lot of family interactions in Star Wars generally, and especially with mothers. Like usually they die quickly or stuff like that. I mean, I think that like the most that we've seen of a mother or mother figure in Star Wars is probably like Hera, or maybe even like Beru in Obi-Wan Kenobi, which says a lot. And so I thought it was cool to like see an interaction between a main character. I think we could consider Cyril a main character, and his mother, and kind of seeing that like, oh yeah, Star Wars is just like our galaxy. Like when you fail and you're a young adult, you just go back to your parents' house, get a good talking to, and then figure out what's next.
Yeah. I hate how every Star Wars character that has blue milk leaves it out on the table. That's disgusting. Like it warms up.
You gotta know. That's true. Yeah. I mean, I love how they presented the two of them, right? Because at the end of the scene, I did not feel bad for Cyril, or I didn't feel like I was like, oh, he's absolved. It's like, nah, man, he's still trying to, he was shooting at innocent people in the last episode, and he's responsible for the death of Tim. Also, Tim, sorry about your namesake.
It's really the only reason I'm here is to provide some kind of a palate cleanser for the Timothys and the one M Tims in the world. We don't deserve that 2M.
We definitely
hashtag not all Tims.
We definitely highlighted that our Tim wouldn't have run like into the line of fire.
I really appreciated that love. I really did.
Yeah, you're great, man. But that being said, Cyril obviously does all this bad stuff, and seeing his relationship with his mom and not being good enough for her, and knowing that he's gotta get a job with his uncle or whatever it's gonna be, I understood him. Like you say, Emma, it's relatable in that way. I don't excuse what he did, but I see the line now. I'm like, oh yeah, you were always trying to love. You always were afraid you're gonna disappoint her, because frankly, you did. Apparently, you absolutely, that came true. I bet you assumed that you were going to. And the whole thing of like, oh, you were always welcome. Oh, nope, an invitation is not a real invitation. Like the gaslighting of parent to child. Like there's such a unfortunately relatable moment for, I'm sure, a lot of folks who've had that conversation with their parents of like, I thought I was going to do better. Oh, well, I'm just, I was afraid that you have no fallback. And it's not going to work. And like, I mean, you want to talk about the most triggering scenes in Star Wars. I think this is probably one of the higher ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
So we got that. So now let's go from the hard stuff of parents back to the lighthearted stuff about like fascism. So one character we haven't talked about a whole ton is Lieutenant Gorn. We've been in the Vel cell, and he's kind of like the second guy. But Wes, you have a really great point here about kind of his mastery in this episode. He did a lot of great work, I thought.
Yes. So Lieutenant Gorn is the one on the inside for the Rebel cell, for the Vel cell. Yeah. So
Clive Owen, the inside man.
Yes. So he is the one. He's lieutenant, so he is above. I don't know ranks, but he's above quite a few people. So as he is walking his route of like checking on all of his subordinates, that he sees when he first did this, I thought when he showed up at that old temple, that smaller temple, that he was, those two Imperials were like kind of like, they were sketchy. They were like, I don't know about Lieutenant Gorn, something, but that as he kept walking, I was like, oh wait, they completely like go by what he has to say, no matter what. He is their leader. So they're in there cleaning up using whatever they were using for target practice that was hanging on the wall.
Yep.
But so he was making his rounds. You could see that some of the Imperials were lax with their duties. He was leaning on the rail instead of standing straight up, I guess, when you've seen in any other Imperial in the movies that always hands behind their back, stand straight up. They should be like that 24/7. Like they're all human. Like they want to take in the scenery.
Right.
So as Lieutenant Gorn gets in, I guess he goes into where they're holding some of the TIE fighters or holding some of the just some of the equipment. He noticed that he's talking to Imperials and said, "Hey, they didn't paint this garrison over here, and we have a so and so from Coruscant coming to see it this afternoon, and they're gonna, they want to see that we're doing well down here." So he says, "I want this done tomorrow night." And two of the Imperials there were like, "Well, we know that being stationed here on Aldhani isn't the greatest. It's in their first pick. But if we're going to be here, maybe we get the chance to see the eye. And the eye is that great meteor shower or some other phenomena that happens for every 3 years on Aldhani that they want to see. So him knowing that they were going to question that was very clever. And him actually allowing them to make that decision keeps like the blame and the finger pointing away from him, saying, hey, I need only a skeleton crew down here for tomorrow. I don't need a lot of people here. I need you to be somewhere else, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Him actually telling everybody that is very clever. I thought it was in a way that it takes the blame off of him. Nobody looks at him, and he's not the first one to get shot. He might get shot at, but he won't be the first one to get shot, and he won't be the first one to be blamed. So I thought that was really interesting to put in there.
It's like that reverse psychology of like, hey, we should go out to dinner. I don't know if I really want Chipotle tonight, though. And then they're like, well, maybe I want Chipotle. Like, okay, I guess. And you wanted Chipotle the whole time? Like, that's exactly what he's doing. Like, but it is that mastery of him knowing his people. But again, that scene, I think in most projects is not written that way. You're exactly right, Wes. That scene 99 times out of 100 goes, we only need a skeleton crew. Let's do this. And it should be suspicious, but it's not, just because the writers need to get to the next scene. But this show is like, no, we need to use the subversive psychology because that is what is actually happening. That is the more realistic thing. And like you said, it makes Gorn look really, really smart. Yeah. Because he thinks that far ahead.
And I had to go back and look because I was watching the scene and I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. And then as he makes that smirk and the camera goes to a different scene, I was like, I got to go back. I was like, he did something there. I got to go back and watch that. And I was like, oh, he did make them make that decision for him. That's awesome. So I had to put that as a point to talk about.
Yeah, it's like when a teacher incepts like a student into like having an idea and they think it's their own.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you did get that math problem correct.
Great idea. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, all right, you have to do all these math problems. Can we only do evens? Okay. And you were going to do evens the whole time. Like, that is...
But you have to do 3 bonus questions at the very end. Is that okay? Like, yes. And the bonus questions are like all the odd questions.
Yeah. Again, this, like, as we're talking about this episode, it's interesting. The fact that there wasn't as much action really does seem like there were all these way more relatable conversational moments. And Emma, you really hit one of them in your points here that I want us to talk about, which is, again, around Mon Mothma.
You got it right the first time.
Nailed it. Where's that Funko, though? Yeah, so we meet the daughter, and this scene just really hit me in a way, but you have a bunch of details about her that I think we can all really relate to. So let's dive into Mon Mothma a little bit.
Yeah, this scene really like hurt my soul for Mon Mothma. I mean, because she like, you can tell in this in the scene with her and Perrin and her daughter Lita, right? You know, you can tell that she like really cares about everyone around her. Like, she makes sure that her daughter has, you know, eaten something for the day, and make sure that like Perrin actually calls her driver by his actual name. Like that is like, I can't imagine that that's a very common thing for like senators or other, you know, big wigs in Coruscant to actually care about, but she does.
No.
And I think that is like, so I think that makes us relate to her more and want to root for her more, because I think it'd be easy to not want to root for one of the Coruscant elites. But she's easy to root for, I think. I mean, she has a shitty family. They all suck, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the driver thing, I had to rewind that when that first happened, because I was like, what's the reasoning there? And it works so well because, one, she has to know all the drivers' names, because as we saw in the last episode, they keep switching it on her, so she's got to know. But also, as awful as Perrin is, and as much as he ignores everything, he knows that his wife knows the name of the driver. He always knows that she asks questions. And I'm like, God, you know that she's a good, caring person, and you're still a total prick. Like, it's just amazing, the level of awfulness that he has. But it's true to see Mon go from the woman that we see in Rogue One and Return of the Jedi, which is kind of this solitary leader. Obviously, no daughter or husband by her side in the movies that we see. I know I think Lita appears in some Legends comics and things like that. But like, she's just very straightforward. And now we see her kind of trying to hold on to her life.
Yeah.
And it's slipping. And it really is. And I think it's going to be really heartbreaking to see her lose them. Like you have the quote here after Lita says something to her. She just says, that's really, really quite hurtful. And she's just very open about it as a mom. She's like, this hurts my feelings.
Yeah.
And it hit one of the points I wanted to talk about, which was mostly with Mon I saw, but then I kind of attributed it to everybody, which was sacrifice. And as we said, I think next episode is going to be the big sacrifice. Nemec, we got you, buddy. What's Nemec at? like, what do you think? Nemec death minus 300?
There you go.
We're getting it. That's a pre-show joke for our sports bettors. I really noticed that everyone is sacrificing a lot. Like Skeen lost his brother. Also, the fact that he lost his brother to suicide is just even harsher because now he has to stay because his brother couldn't. Luthen is potentially losing his career, isn't it? We don't know the order of the antiquities dealer or whatever it is, but like he was probably fine financially and socially, and he's gonna lose that. Mothma is losing her husband, which she probably doesn't really care about, but she's probably gonna lose her daughter.
Dude.
Like she's lying to her daughter every day.
Like
she has to.
There's no other scene that we've seen so far where you can, well, maybe right before when they were sitting at the table, but like the divide they have when they're sitting in the car, like you know that they don't like each other. You know that they're
God. And she's taking her ear. I mean, also this moment of like we're coming out from the party. Outfits are immaculate. They just had to like posture, and she's like taking the earrings off. He's already kind of getting ready, done with the day, and I'm like, dude, you're sitting next to Mon. That is Genevieve O'Reilly, you monster. Like, are you kidding me? Scooch over, my dude.
Yeah.
Mon, seriously.
Yeah. But
I love those stakes because like in the grand scheme of things, like in the larger macro story of Star Wars, like they haven't mattered to us. These stories haven't mattered, and we may not have even been missing them had we not have them now.
Right.
And it just fleshes it out so much more. Then it makes you go back to these stories that are 40 years old and go, oh my God, like you went through so much to get to what you're doing now. And I love that we can have stories like this that do that amplify 40-year-old movies. Like
Like can you imagine, like, you know, in Return of the Jedi, you know, Mon Mothma is like stone cold. Like she freaked me out as a kid. I was like, why is she so serious? Like, oh my God.
I'm like, yo, go off.
And you know, she's giving someone a death stare. Like I don't know who it is. But she's definitely giving someone a death stare. What if the reason that she is that way, because like she lost so much just trying to form this rebellion, and like it's not going super well. You know what I mean?
No. And it's like, you know, we know the Skywalker saga is so much about family, and it's like Luke and Leia finding each other, and that's great. And then Leia and Han forming their own family, and like all these things happen. But there's also just so much loss in the rebellion. Like episode 4, Beru and Owen get burned alive, or Beru kills the stormtroopers with a shotgun and burns them alive, and we don't see her. Either way,
she's living on Canto Bite.
she's a high roller on Canto Bite. I would please. Why not? She's like, I don't want to. I raised the kid long enough. He'll be fine. But like we lose them. You know, we do lose Vader as a father that Luke knew for a while, but these kind of stories, the slow motion loss, I think is almost even worse. Like we're seeing Cassian lose Marva essentially as well. Maybe he goes back to Ferrix. We don't know again how it all shakes up, but leaving all that behind is super hard. And then I do think that the Mon Mothma story, I think we're gonna get a lot more of that obviously this season, of the slow kind of cancer infesting of a family where they kind of know mom's lying to them, and she knows she has to keep doing it, and it's going to break them apart, and she's going to suffer every day while trying to finance these people on other planets, and it's just going to, it's going to be so hard. But of course, financing is also a weirdly big part of this show, like money, payrolls. And this comes to a head this episode, because last episode we obviously heard, like, you know, Vel being like, we're sleeping on rocks, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna pay $200,000. Like, you know. And Wes, you had a great point about this, because Skeen calls him out for lying about the Kyber crystal very specifically, and then it kind of rolls over a bit.
Yes, so there was it seemed like everybody was still trying to pick at at Clem for him being there. Like, why is he here? Why would he just show up out of nowhere, like within 3 days that we have to do this heist that we're planning? And so he gets his knapsack taken when he was asleep, and he freaks out, and he's like, "Hey, Bill told me to do it, so I was just looking." It's like, where do you guys? What is all this stuff? This is Imperial issue. He's like, so they kind of got a little bit of background from Skeen, and then but Skeen wasn't really he really wasn't believing what Clem was saying. The first thing that Cassian clutched was that kyber crystal around his neck when he found out that his bag was gone. So you know that he is under the impression that they are still trying to the group is trying to figure out why he is there. So out of nowhere, they get into this. Right before they start walking up to the next camp, they get into an argument, and then Cassian just says, "I'm being paid. That's it. I'm being paid. That's why." And so he had to give them that little bit of intel to keep them from, I guess, grasping each other's throats throughout the entire thing. He wanted to make sure there were no excuses. So that little bit of intel hopefully sufficed. But there's so many questions that came out from me whenever he said that, like, who is paying you? Who is the person that is paying you? Are there more cells that the Vel cell knows about? Like, who is the leader above Vel? Do they know there's a leader above Vel? I'm assuming they do, but like, just him saying I'm being paid means that there is a higher level of authority above Vel, and there could be more around. Why haven't they been talking about that? Because it sounds like they've been like a single group, and they don't have anybody else that's leading them.
Yeah, I kind of get the vibe that they're aware of the idea of other people. You know, because I think it was last episode, I think we chatted about the idea that if they don't know the names of people like Luthen and stuff, then you can't be tortured, and you know they kind of keep that separate. So I think maybe they all are aware of that idea. But I did like, you know, I can't blame Skeen, honestly, too. This whole thing, like, you are kind of being lied to, my dude. Like, you're planning this for months, and this guy shows up. It's like, oh, by the way, I'm the last guy. It's like, yo, hold on.
But taking his kyber crystal, like, that could have been a family heirloom. You're like,
yeah,
I mean, why is it? Yeah, why does he have to automatically sell that, or why does it have to be? Why does it have to be like worth money? Why can it not be priceless to him as like something as sentimental? But
yeah,
you know,
it's a good middle ground, I think. Like referencing Mon Mothma and Perrin, there is no honesty. There's no trust there. Their relationship is trash for it, right? Like, if she can start a charity under her husband's nose, and he's like, whatever. So it's neat that to have this team dynamic where you all know that they're there for a reason, and you can assume those things. But there's a very real human element where I'm not going to reveal my entire truth to any of you, right?
Right.
But maybe a piece, maybe just enough to settle the, okay, this is fine. And then that's where Skeen then comes back, and he tells him about his brother. This is as close to an apology as you're going to get. And I'm not going to tell you anything more about my life, probably. But here's just enough. So now we're all kind of square on, we know enough about each other to kind of make it through, just to settle the nerves. I don't know. I appreciated that very human element of, we're a team, we're going to work together. Here is a piece of me to get you to shut up and do your job.
Yes.
And vice versa.
Yes.
I feel like Skeen, he's not like super trusting, whereas Cassian is more trusting, mostly because, I mean, he's being paid to be there, right? But so it's not like he has as much to lose, I guess, just because he's being paid.
Yeah.
But if I were in Cassian's position, though, I would still be wary of the situation, because everyone's motives are like a little aggressive and like, and so sometimes that doesn't pan out to be like the best, you know, situation. Like, of course, you know, it's good that they're fighting the Empire and stuff, but at the same time, it's like, you know, this could lead to like some hostility, and you know, especially between like members of the group. And I think I definitely relate to Skeen in his like, you know, his inability to trust, you know, Cassian especially. But I also feel like there's definitely a little bit of inability to trust the other members of the team as well. Like he definitely puts on a face like, yeah, I trust these people because I have known them longer, but in my heart I don't really think he trusts many people because the Empire has like hurt him so bad, and I think that's really caused him to not be able to trust and work as a team. And I'll be interested to see, like, when we see this mission go down, I'll be interested to see how he in particular sort of works with others.
Yeah. And like I really liked Cassian's view on that as they were going through the minutia of the plan, where he's like, how are we getting out of here? Like there really seemed to be an era of like, listen, I know that we all don't trust each other. You don't trust me, but now it's game time. Like tomorrow is the plan. And he said something about like, it's my skin on the line. Like I'm going to tell you, if you all messed up, I die. If I mess up, you die. So there's like that kind of baseline of fine, let's all air it out, because at the end of the day, we got to have each other's backs. I also actually wanted to add one thing I didn't write here, but I heard on an interview with the actor that plays Skeen, Eben, I forget his full name. I was listening to a podcast he was on, and he actually mentioned his blaster is actually Greedo's blaster from episode 4, but it actually is not even it's not just like the model. According to him, it's like the blaster, and there's a way they track that it gets from him to Greedo.
What? That's cool.
I don't know if that's he said that, and they dropped it like, and he's like, I don't know if it'll ever be a story or anything like that, but it might be a possibility where that blaster gets to Greedo. So keep an eye out, everybody. Who's to say? But for the character itself, I agree, Emma. I think it's cool to see him be that moment of like, this is all you're gonna get for an apology. Fine, we'll equal it out here. They'll probably I don't never need to see you after this.
Right.
They'll probably never hang out. We're not gonna go get brunch after the mission. But if we all survive, great. Then we go our separate ways. Because I also think it's a great thing to remember that even though Cassian is getting paid $200K, they're stealing a quarterly payroll. Of the entire sector. So like in the grand scheme of things, obviously it's a ton now when they're sleeping on rocks. But ideally this mission goes
hammocks. I saw the hammocks.
Well, that's true. The blankets, they're fine.
But there's rocks in the hammocks. We should see it.
Oh, damn. Well, that makes it way worse. But yeah, I think that they kind of all eventually, by the end of this episode, get back to the big picture, which is what Nemec is talking to Cassian about the entire time.
We get to see the little personal side. Well, not from Lieutenant Gorn himself, but Vel told us why he is there. So they said, why is he even here? He'd be the one that would stab us in the back. It's like, well, he had fallen in love with a what they say, a local woman, and lost the woman, and then lost the love for the Empire. Like that was it. Yeah. I was like, okay.
Everyone's got their reason.
Yeah. Everybody's got a different reason, right? Like. Yeah, and it's no matter how bad it is on the scale of super shitty to, it's gonna be, you have your reasons for hating the Empire, and then
it's enough.
It grows from there.
Your version of enough is it's enough.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like these people are so different from each other, but the one thing that connects them all together is their hatred of the Empire and their desire to take it down. And it's like none of them need to be friends. They just need to work together, and then they'll be fine. But I really find that dynamic super interesting because I feel like we haven't really seen a whole lot of that before. I mean, because in Rebels, all the Rebel cells, like, you usually had like the Ghost Crew who were like family.
Yeah.
And now you have these people who hate each other's guts.
Yeah. Well, it's the audience, right? Like Rebels is made for a younger audience who you are trying to actively teach to be friends and make alliances and things like that. And this one is kind of for all of us jaded adults that are like, yeah, people stab you in the back sometimes, man, but you got to deal with them anyway, don't you? And I love your last note here, Emma. As we're kind of wrapping up, we watch this at the end of the episode. We get again one of those shots where it kind of goes person to person to person, kind of almost like the end of episode 3. When Cassian was leaving, in that amazing moment where we went from person to person to person. And like you said, everyone has their own reason for hating the Empire, and we really do see each of them kind of realize what they could lose and what they're in for. And I really thought they did a great job kind of propelling us to next week, because we all know what's happening. And I loved Luthen almost kind of being the audience, being like, has it happened yet? Is there action yet? Is there a thing yet? Is there a thing yet? And his assistant is like, it's not happening tonight. Relax.
Yeah.
You know?
That was a super interesting scene to me because we had gotten so far into the episode, I didn't think that we were gonna see him at all. Because we hadn't seen him yet.
Yep,
there was
same.
like 9 minutes left, aka like 3 minutes of
Yeah.
show.
God, there's long credits.
Yeah, I know, right?
This show.
So I'm like, okay, we haven't seen him yet. I mean, but we've seen Mon and Cassian, so we've seen all the
Mhm.
other groups except for him. And it was interesting because it was literally like a 2-minute scene
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
most.
Yep.
Of him just like, trying to, I don't know what he was trying to do, like listen to the
It's like a
Oh,
police
or
scanner is what it
something.
looked like to
Yeah,
me.
Mixed with like a telegraph.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like,
Yeah.
like waiting for something.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he was listening to like the Imperial like comms or something. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I
Like the thing
thought
that Bix used in the first episode.
yeah,
It was like very much like that.
yeah, very much so. And I thought that it was yeah, that thing. Or what? It kind of looks like one of those like old fashioned telephones. You had the
He
Yes.
talked
the
to
piece
yes
up there. Yeah. And yeah, I thought that like him saying that if they get caught, Vel is tied back to him, but also so is Cassian
the thief.
because he wasn't careful.
Yep, I wasn't careful.
He wasn't careful enough, and he like wanted him to be part of it too much. And I
Yep.
thought that was like so fascinating. We didn't
He
get
owned
much.
up to it.
He did. We didn't get much. Information from that scene, except for for the big fact that Luthen is nervous that if any one of them gets caught, he's going to be implicated, and then
Mhm.
the jig is up.
Yes.
Yep. And I love that we still got something. So like we got the
Yes.
2 minutes, the 2 minutes from him, and then the 1 minute that we spent back on Ferrix, like midway through the show.
Yeah.
And it
Yep.
was a casual reminder to me that like these places still matter. These people still
Yep.
matter.
Yeah.
We might not have seen a lot of them this episode, but just the heads up, like
Mhm.
next episode, next 6
Still going.
episodes.
That
There's a
told me we're
story-
going
there's a
back
reason this is
sometime.
here.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, there's a lot on the line.
And
Yeah.
one thing that we don't know that I was questioning throughout half the episode was, what are these two doing? They would never say what they were doing. Vel and
Oh, yeah,
Cinta, they're like,
Cinta
don't worry
and
about
Bell. Where are they going?
like, you don't need to know. Just worry about you.
well-
We'll meet up tomorrow afternoon after this is all over.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
see,
I
that's-
don't know.
This is what I wanted us to end on. The question, not necessarily of what they're doing, because I'm not sure, but I want to go around. Who's making it out of the mission?
Alive?
Emma on the spot. Yes.
Okay.
Who's gonna? And Cassie doesn't count because obviously.
Right.
But Emma, who's of the Vel cell? Who's gonna make it out?
I bet only Vel makes it out, if I'm being honest.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
I honestly
All
think
of
that there's
them.
gonna be a lot of carnage. I really do.
Okay. Bold start. Timothy.
Yeah, I
making it
think
out.
Vel's for sure gonna be okay. The two most confirmed that are gonna die though are gonna be Lieutenant Gorn and Nemec.
Most confirmed.
I think Gorn's gonna
Hmm.
die in the place of his love. So
Ooh, okay. Wes.
Dang. Okay, I think Vel and Cinta are going to live because
Sure.
I mean
I hope they do. Yeah.
I think they're I don't know. They have a different part of the plan that they may not be in the direct line of fire. So they might not be
Yeah.
the Marines that go straight in the front lines. So they have a better
also,
chance of living.
Let's let representation live for more than
Yes,
one
There you
episode.
go.
let's let the lesbians
That's
what I was
live.
about to
They
say,
always
yeah.
kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that.
Poor-
Yeah.
poor Nemec.
I think Vel and poor Nemec.
we already crossed his name off the list before the
Sorry,
show
but
even started.
I hope we're wrong. I hope we're
Yeah.
wrong.
I
Let's
want to be
clear. I hope we're
contrarian
wrong.
and say it'll be Nemec, but I can't in good conscience say it. I think Vel and Cinta will live. I think Gorn is down. I think Nemec's down. I think Skeen is down. Yeah, I think it
Yeah, I
might
do
be.
too.
Ta-
Yeah, I think it might
uh,
be Vel and Cinta.
what was Tamaria?
Oh
What was
yeah,
his name?
Tamarin.
Tamarin.
Tamarin?
Tamarin? I got all the characters pulled up.
Yeah,
I can't
he's
even
leading
say
the
it
mark.
right.
Tamarin. I think Tamarin will be okay. Vel
Terriman.
Cinta, Tamarin.
Terriman.
Terriman.
Yes.
Terriman, okay.
I think Terriman and Vel and Cinta are gonna make it out.
I think Terriman
The
takes
characters we know the least amount.
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
I think Terriman takes
Exactly.
like a whole bunch of blaster shots, like in Rogue One with K2SO, and like,
Oh my God.
Aw.
but he saves a lot of people's lives in the end.
Yeah, I know. He's like, go,
yeah.
go.
But he's just like a wall.
sad.
And this takes
Yeah, like-
everybody
Oh
out.
God.
Oh
But
man.
we'll see. We've seen in the trailers the dam and like people like with ropes on their back, like jumping down Ocean's
Damn,
11
damn.
style. So that's
I'm sorry.
that's
Was
what-
that
that's what we're
okay?
getting.
I haven't seen the trailer in a while, but why do I remember like Bix being there? Is that just like complete something I totally made up?
I think it is.
Okay. I mean, I
Or
haven't
it's
seen the trailer in a
Cinta.
long time.
I haven't seen
but-
it either in a
Or-
long time.
Yeah.
Val.
Okay. Yeah. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't get like a close up, and I guess I didn't think that we were gonna like get to know people in this cell as much as we have.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that might have also affected my viewing of the trailer. So
Yeah, I think like we said it maybe last week, but like Tony Gilroy said there's something within the whole show, there's something like 180, 190 speaking roles. Like there are just a lot
my
of
God.
characters we're gonna get.
Wow.
They all get Funkos. No. But next week we will find out the full body count. If you think we're right, everyone, let us know in the comments here or on Discord or on Twitter. We want to hear you talking about Andor, of course. We love our Andor channel over in our Discord. Again, everyone is very respectful about using spoiler tags on the day of, but go ahead, make sure you're jumping in and joining the conversation. But my gosh, I guess we'll find out. We're gonna end again. This is gonna be the end of the second arc of the first season of Andor. They're doing 3-episode arcs, except for episode 7 might be a standalone. But we'll see. The good news is that after this next week, everybody, we're only halfway through the first season. We still have a whole other half to
Nice.
go. I'm so excited. I feel like these things keep going by too quickly.
you know,
So,
I just had this
there's
really
more.
strange thought. Like,
Go.
what if we like don't get the heist this week? Like,
There's no way. There's no
you
way.
think? Because
No
I
way.
More planning.
No, I would bet the farm. I would bet the
They
farm.
already
don't
set
know.
fire to the model. I think we're good.
Yeah, and they let all the
that's true.
livestock out. They let them go.
Yeah. They literally burned that idea and said, no!
You're right, you're
Off
right,
it
yeah.
goes.
I don't know. That might just be me being cynical because like I thought we were getting the
Same.
heist
Mhm.
this
Same.
episode,
Yeah.
and I also thought that we were getting like the dinner party this episode.
Oh, that's
But-
right.
You know, I mean we're never gonna get the dinner party. It's over.
We're
but
never
I,
gonna-
I want to know
Sly-
how it went though.
You just want Sly Moore in a scene being like, hey, you passed the butter.
I
It's
really
like,
do.
God, no.
I really
Go
do.
away. Sit in your
I also-
corner.
I want to see what a Mon Mothma dinner party looks like.
Probably very
Dope.
fancy, and she's probably miserable the entire time.
yeah,
The
yeah.
entire time.
And they force Lita to come, like that would be hilarious.
Just
She's like, I
stomping
gotta do
in.
homework. Leave me alone. Oh gosh. Well, we'll find out if we're all gonna be disappointed. We'll find out if Nemec lives. Maybe we'll make sure it's Nemec lives. But that'll all be next week. Because on that note, my friends, that will do it for this week's episode of Bounty Hunt. Stay tuned for our next hunt when we'll be diving into episode 6 of Andor. A special thank you to Brian Dooley, Patrick Ortiz, Earl Q, Robert Thomas, and Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council, and James T, Elizabeth Cloutier, Ashley Ingalls, and Sally and Chris Eilerson on our Alliance High Command. Go ahead and tell us all your thoughts about Andor in our Discord at utini.com/Discord. Follow the main show on Twitter at LivingForcePod, and all of us on the entire team for all our thoughts about all things Star Wars. Until next time. Oh, Nemec. Oh, Nemec. Maybe.